One morning in the spring of 1959, a middle-aged civil engineer named Wu Qiu biked through his rural town in Taiwan. He had gotten word that his wife had become horribly sick. As he got to his neighborhood, he started to realize that he was really gassed. Pedaling to his house was just unbelievably exhausting. He saw one of his neighbors, and his neighbor kind of scowled at Wu, and they turned and just went the other way. As he finally gets to his house, Wu would find his wife in their bedroom, and she was looking very pale and sick. Her name was Lin Wangyao. She was 37 years old, and so Wu immediately began to tend to his wife. But over the next couple of days, Lin did not get better. Wu knew, like, if I don't get my wife to a hospital, she might not make it. One of his neighbors had a donkey cart. Put her on the cart, and by the time they're there, like, Lin is basically unconscious, and then she died. In Taiwan, it's customary during funerals to have the body of the loved one be brought into the house where it stays for 7 days before they're cremated. And then over the next several days, Wu was at home next to his dead wife. On the third day, everybody in the room just suddenly went completely silent, and then people began to gasp. And they were looking at the casket, and there is Lin, except now she's sitting upright, looking around the room, clearly alive. The next day, when they woke up, Lin was so much better, he began to notice something really strange. She just sounded different. Before Lin died, she had been illiterate, but now she was not only able to read, but she could also read and speak fluent Mandarin, a language she didn't know. Wu and Lin became the biggest curiosity in town, that it eventually reached the Taiwanese government. And so on March 17th, 1962, the Taiwanese government sent for Lin, and they tell her she's gonna be meeting with the chief physician there. She walks in the room, Lin looks at him like with a double take, and she says to the chief physician, "Uncle?" Lin revealed to the chief physician that Lin really was not her name. Her real name was Zhu Shuhua. They did have a niece whose name was Zhu Shuhua, and a year earlier, she'd gone missing during the Chinese Civil War, and she had been presumed dead, but nobody had ever found her body. According to Lin, Zhu did die during that war. Her spirit was sort of stuck in this purgatory for some time. Then, a year after Zhu's death, when Lin died, Lin said that Zhu's spirit entered Lin's body, thus she came back to life, but in a different body. Back in the beginning of the story, when Wu is hustling home, biking as fast as he can, when those neighbors were interviewed, they would say that the reason they gave those looks to Wu is because they knew Wu was married to Lin, and he's got this woman sitting on the back of his bike. Now, Wu swore there was no woman on his bike, but he would recall that the bike did feel really heavy. Later, Lin would say that actually Zhu's spirit had come down and hopped on the back of Wu's bike, and then once Lin passed away, she switched places with her. For the rest of her life, Lin would live as Zhu, and she would become a community and spiritual leader, and she would pass away in 2018 at the age of 97. And so if reincarnation is real, this story might just be one of the most credible cases ever recorded.